Hey everybody, KC here. And for this FaceTime with the content guy, we also have FaceTime with Michael Sansolo. Uh, he's joining us today because he and I were talking about an exchange that took place on Morning Newsbeat a couple of days ago about baseball. And there was a story that he had read in the Washington Post that he thought was applicable and that also provided some business lessons. So I figured, I'll invite him in for the morning. So Michael, take it away.
Well, we find business lessons in everything, Kevin, and baseball is one of our favorite metaphors. The article, and this was a column by a guy named Barry Zerluga, was about a essay that was written by a venture capitalist in New York. And as Barry Zerluga said, this guy is not in the baseball universe. He is an outside pair of eyes, an outside voice. And he said, sometimes you need that. You need somebody who's coming from elsewhere to look at things. And what this venture capitalist looked at was the current battle going on between the owners and the players that honestly could end up killing this baseball season. And he said, this is nuts. And he made a couple of points that I think are very relevant to business. The number one, that the players and the owners need each other. They are nothing without each other. But they always have this argument between each other, almost forgetting that it's the fans who, it's their game. And these two entities, the players and owners, get rich off the fans. And it's almost like they're so in their silos that they're forgetting the bigger picture. And he makes that point, and he talks to them about the need for each side to understand what the other is bringing to the table right now, what's concerning them, what they need to create a shortened baseball season, to have baseball in the middle of COVID. And I thought the parallels were great. Kevin, I'm going to jump right to one you and I talked about, because we have a lot of readers, obviously, from the supermarket industry. And we know historically there has been this battle between the suppliers and the distributors, the manufacturers, the retailers, and the wholesalers. The consumer doesn't care one whit about that battle. Consumer wants to be able to go to their store, get the products they want, at prices they want, with the selection they're looking for. And so a battle over shelf space or, whether it's allowances, whatever it might be, consumer doesn't want to know about that. They want a good shopping trip. And I think we have that danger that we fall into our silos and we start battling among ourselves and we forget who the actual consumer is. So
Well,
we need to kind of think of that.
Yeah, and we've even seen some of that playing out in the last couple of weeks when we've seen retailers turning to manufacturers and basically explaining to them how they're going to be charged all these additional fees. Manufacturers not responding well to that, and saying, "Well, come on, guys, you guys are making better margins than you've ever made on the retail side because there's no promotions, nothing's on sale." And so, I mean, you can see that some of the long-term tensions where these two sides don't treat each other like partners, but rather as adversaries, are being even exacerbated by what is going on now. And the other part of that is, and it's not just retailers versus suppliers, it's also even within the store. You and I have seen this for years, right? The people in the meat department don't necessarily see the people in the produce department as their partners. Sometimes they're battling over who's going to get the ring. And it's like, guys, what does it matter as long as the ring isn't across the street or on Amazon, right?
And I got to tell you,
keep our eye on the ball.
Exactly what you're saying is why I think folks who are watching this FaceTime need to link to this article and give it a read. Because we have heard that between the meat department and the deli, it's like every department in the store, in the company, is its own silo. And it's how am I going to look best? It's what we do together. I thought what the venture capitalist also made a great point, and it applies to the current period, is right now there is unusual pain. Things are not what they normally are. And he said, you got to understand, you can't say to the other guys, you need to take all the pain, I need to get all the benefit. That there has to be a different discussion right now because we're dealing with something no one has ever anticipated. So it's amazing. It's an article about baseball, and you and I are both baseball fans. We want to see baseball. And in fact, most sports fans want to see baseball because it's a constant. It gets us through the summer. But here's a guy from the financial community looking at this issue, again, outside eyes, saying, you guys are nuts. You are screwing up a great opportunity. And you and I also talk about the need for outside eyes to look at every business, to show you things you're not going to see.
Yeah, it's interesting, though. It was, I mean, outside eyes can be good or bad. I'm not sure. Mm-hmm. there was a story, I think it was in the Times the other day about, they were talking about the stock market, right? And despite lots of bad news, the stock market keeps going up, although in the last few days it's been going down a little bit. But they said part of the problem is you've got all these sports bettors who don't have anything to bet on. So they've decided they're all going to bet on the stock market. So they're approaching the stock market the same way they would approach betting on games. And it's causing the market to behave in ways I think that are surprising to people. That's because you have all these outside eyes who are coming to it. Again, I don't know if it's good or bad. I mean, Wall Street's not Main Street, so I think they often can be disconnected. It's interesting. I mean, and you and I are both baseball fans. We're both Mets fans, which has its own kind of pain. But it is interesting. It's extraordinary to me that these guys can't figure it out. That they can't figure out that they're partners. I mean, the players are in some ways putting their lives at risk just by going on the field now, and certainly could be putting their careers at risk. I mean, somebody could get a respiratory, somebody who could make a couple $100 million over a career could get a respiratory disease and it would be over. Or they could infect their parents or their children or their spouses. I remain pessimistic about baseball coming back. But I'm also kind of in the position where I'm saying, I'm not even sure I want it to. I mean, I would like it to come back. I'm not sure it should come back. There's a part of me that thinks if we can get to next spring and maybe there's a vaccine and maybe there's greater herd immunity, there's a better chance to have a baseball season that has more meaning to it than a 50-game season will have. And besides, then you have the other issue. What if somebody goes 50 games and hits 400 or 401 or 402?
If that's the season you count it. You and I are going to disagree on this.
I put the world's biggest asterisk next to that.
Right now, the one thing we do agree on is the Mets are currently undefeated. And both of us are actually kind of happy about that because that usually lasts 2 games. But Kevin, I think to the point you're making, and again, this venture capitalist makes this point very powerfully. The players have a perishable commodity. Their career only lasts a certain amount of time because the skills that's required for baseball, at our ages, we couldn't play baseball when we were 25. We certainly can't do it now. And they said the owners seem to be ignoring that the baseball players only have this small window. And imagine you are a player and your contract ends in 2020 and you're going to have some, truncated season of 40, 50 games, and you're a slow starter, so you have bad statistics. It is going to impact all your future contracts. So again, what this guy has done, and I agree with you on outside eyes. Outside eyes can lead you astray. But this guy, first of all, he's taking a financial picture of what baseball is doing. So he's not saying, I understand a curveball versus a slider, because God knows I have no idea how to make the difference. He is getting into what he knows, which is the economics of baseball and the economics of making a deal. And he points out, here's what the owners have to lose, here's what the players have to lose, here's what they have to gain. And how do we, and this is a point for any negotiation, find the points of mutual benefit and find a way to get there. And of the mutual pain points, well, you can't say you get all the pain, I get all the benefit. We're never going to get a deal. There has to be a sharing of the pain, sharing of the benefit. And I think that's something any business can learn from. You can't get 100% of your way.
Well, and one thing's for sure, there'll be a lot of this going to continue to be pain for baseball fans one way or the other, whether it's a no season or a 50-game season. And there will be pain for us because we're Mets fans.
We're Mets fans, yes. We live with pain.
That's what's on our minds this morning. And as always, we want to hear what's on your mind.